Hata, and today I'll be presenting the results of my collaboration in the research project determining factors in the success and failure of bike-sharing systems in global cities. During the last 6 months, I have been working together with the Urban Sustainability Modeling and Analysis Research team. The laboratory uses agent-based modeling, big data analytics, among other tools to study the environmental implications of emerging technologies from a systems perspective. Specifically, it focuses on the transport sector, since this sector consumes about 90% of the gasoline and produces a third of the emissions globally. And transportation is having 3 trends that are changing the system. Those are mobility, autonomous driving, and electrification. So there is an actual opportunity that we have today in terms of how we are utilizing these technologies to be able to foster sustainable transportation systems. Now, moving on to the definition of what a bike-sharing system is, it can be summarized in that those are shared transport services that allow individuals to rent or borrow a bike for a short-term or long-term basis. And these systems have gained a lot of attention ultimately since they have been increasingly implemented in cities around the world. This emerging concept sells the idea of being environmentally friendly means of transportation and also promotes a healthy lifestyle. However, little is known about the criteria that is considered when deciding to implement a bike-sharing system in a city. And what are the key factors that could lead to the success or the failure of a bike-sharing program in a city are still unclear. Besides, the existing studies almost never include the closed systems in their analysis, and thus the factors that could have led these systems to close or to fail have been ignored. Taking this into consideration explains why understanding the measures on success or failure of these bike-sharing systems could not only inform the current system operation, but also the future urban design.
Bueno, gracias.
This could also help to improve urban mobility systems and reduce the usage of fuel-intensive private cars. So, in order to address this research gap, the tentative methods proposed in this project are systematically examining the bike-sharing system operation conditions, the urban region conditions, through data collection of different variables, such as algorithm data, and regression modeling. During this research phase, I have been performing data collection on the 5 South American countries that have the most cities with bike-sharing system programs, and also in Spain. While doing so, I developed a standard method for each country, which consisted in the following steps. First, getting familiarized with the territorial division of each country. After that, looking at reliable resources. This consisted in public and open data portals provided by government institutions and meteorological agencies. After that, collecting the historical data for the cities that have implemented these kind of programs, writing down the properties of the collected data in summary templates to the records, and finally, processing the data in Python. And this consisted organizing it in a structured way, checking for missing values, handling them with some estimation methods such as linear interpolation and calculating, and after that, performing the required calculations such as converting the units and calculating the mean values. To finally analyze and store the data. So, as a first attempt to investigate what variables could predict the final status of these systems that is, if they were going to remain open or to close. A binary logistic regression model on the collected data was implemented. This model considered 14 variables. Population, GDP, Gini index, and income are of a social nature, and precipitation, temperature, heating, cooling, and wind speed refer to the meteorological parameters of the grid. The rest of the variables refer to the operation conditions of battery systems. Those are the opening year, the number of competing battery systems in the same city, the age, and the number of stations and the number of bikes, which are related to the infrastructure a system can offer. Now, the only categorical variable in the model is the dependent variable, which is binary, since it has only two possible variables, two possible values. Number one represents the open systems in training as the success cases, and the value zero represents the closed systems in training as the failure case. The regression technique selected was binary regression, since it is commonly used to predict binary classes, and also because it is widely used in research to analyze the determinants of transport behavior. Spain was considered the chosen country since it is an early mass implementer of the systems in the early millennium, and also is the Spanish country with largest amount of cities that have implemented this system. In total, it has 138 cities. The model considers in total 91 systems that are located in 73 state cities, and the time period is analyzed is starting in 2003 and ending in 2017. An additional consideration is that the values of the static variables were averaged during the year in which each was active. In order to study the possible patterns between the independent variable and the dependent variable, which is the status of the partial system, a statistical analysis was performed. And as we can see in figure 1 and 2, the first system was introduced in 2003 in Spain. But from 2007 to 2010, the number of operating systems quickly increased, reaching to a peak in 2011 with a total number of 59 systems active. From 2014 to 2020, the growth of the systems decreased. The growth was less dramatic, and it reached the final year of 2020 with a total amount of 40 operating systems, which is equivalent to having 51 closed systems that represent 56% of the total amount of systems. Figure 3 compares the number of bike programs with the number of stations and their status. As you can see from this figure, in general, the survival rate is higher in systems that have the most stations. The systems that have up to 5 stations have a survival rate lower than 10%, while no system with more than 3 stations has slowed down. This next figure shows us that when replicating the panel considering the population variable, cities with fewer than 100,000 inhabitants have a survival rate around 32% or lower. On the other hand, the survival rate increased stations over 100,000. Finally, these figures compares the number of systems according to their age and their status. What is closed system in 2020 was of 4.4 years, while the mean age for the open system was of 8.7 years. And also, we can notice that 53% of the systems closed before reaching the 5 years of age. And out of the 40 operating systems in 2020, just 7 of them were 14 years old or older. The steps I followed to implement the regression model was first performing a correlation analysis between the independent variables, then selecting the relevant ones, after that feeding the model with trained data, and simplifying it using the AIC criteria. These criteria ensure that only the explanatory variables that help to explain a greater variation are retained in the model. And finally, I evaluated the model accuracy and I integrated the coefficient table. As you can see from the results of the fitted and simplified model, only the age, the number of stations, the average population, the open year, and the average precipitation were retained in the model as significant predictors of the Fisher system size, which is the dependent variable. This was because they were the only variables that had p-values smaller than the significance level of 0.05. And also, the accuracy of the model is 79%, which represents a good predictive score for the model. As general finding, we can say that the results obtained are consistent with the findings of other papers and are what would be expected given the descriptive analysis. Referring the population variable, it has been found in previous papers that it is associated with higher performance since it impacts directly the number of trips, which in turn has an influence on Fisher systems to remain open. And this can be explained because it is also related to high levels of demand. Regarding the number of stations, it is clear that it increases the accessibility to systems and also the connection to other transport modes. And this also causes to improve the coverage quality of the system and the system resilience. Referring to the precipitation variable, it has been found that weather is a major determinant for the performance and the ridership of the systems. And this can be explained since the bike users are more likely to rent the bikes and utilize the systems when weather conditions are more favorable. And finally, the age and the opening year is not a surprise that were found to be determinants of the Fisher system survival, since a greater probability a system has of remaining open, the greater age it will also have. So, as final reflections, I can conclude that from the preliminary results obtained from the modeling in the Spain data, it demonstrated that 5 variables were highly related to the survival of the systems. And while city population, precipitation, number of bikes can be considered before implementing a system in a city, age and open years cannot. However, this finding adds more weight to the claim of other authors that have suggested that Fisher systems require a medium to long-term planning so to increase their chances of survival. Another important consideration is that beyond the variables that were considered in the study, there are many others that may also impact the survival of these 5 programs. This can include local cycle infrastructure, attitudes towards cycling, quality of transport management, user fees, legal requirements for cyclists, among others. And although this study funds the understanding we have on the process of bioshare systems productivity, more reliable and detailed results could be obtained by adding more countries and variables to the model, which is why the continuity and the broad scope this research project has is so important. Last but not least, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Sai, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Carlos Marina. They have been mentors and a really necessary guidance for this research project that has taught me so much and has inspired me to continue working on these topics in the future. Also to my family, my mother, my father, my sister, and Juan, who have been key people for my progress and have given me the strength and the support on this process and regardless the distance to continue achieving my dream. Thank you so much for attending this presentation. I will have to answer any questions you have on this slide. Yeah.